Moving on, we have enhanced the clarity adapter to support multiple abilities on the clarity adapter. One, we have opened up the TSV and money field. So TSV and money field are like special fields on clarity application. So TSV is a time scaled value field, and money is like more of having all the money values like the cost, the actual cost, benefits, budget, all that gets into money field. And the TSV is all the time-phased data that we'll have to handle. So far, TSV and money field was not available in our data type. So we have gone ahead and opened it up. The main reason why we went ahead and opened this was like we wanted to support the actual transaction or the posted transaction. Since we wanted to open up actual transactions, and money is a major data type that is used in the actual transactions, we went ahead and opened it. There is no restrictions on the version of clarity adapt I mean versions that ConnectALL is supporting. We'll be able to do the money and TSV field. Only difference is like usually the money field will carry the currency as well as the value. So it can be $100 or $1,000. But in our current implementation, we are only taking the value, and we are ignoring the currency when we are specifically doing the actual transaction. In future, when we start supporting the unposted transaction, we'll support both currency as well as the value. The reason is because this is like two value that needs to get into one section, and tomorrow when we start supporting unposted transactions, then from the destination system we have to concatenate the number and the currency and move it to clarity. So to avoid that issue, for now it's unidirectional. We'll only be able to take the value and we'll put it into the destination system. So if you have a planned cost, you can synchronize with this integer field in your destination system. For example, if you want to add a budget field in Jira, it'll just carry the number. That's the difference. You will see it on the clarity. And as I've put it in the image, all the money fields will be listed. I can show you in the application, as well as all the TSV field will be listed. Whichever entity that we are supporting, it will get listed up there. The data type compatibility, as I said, the recommended data type that anybody who's going to use this is like the money field can be put into a integer field. And one another thing that we have to think about is like clarity. Basically, on the clarity settings, there is something called the unit of measure. The unit of measure is defined on the instance level of clarity. So the unit can be either hours, days, or FTE, or any percentage. And this is basically applied for all the work effort fields. It's measured based on the instance level. So for ConnectALL to do this, to calculate the values, basically we'll have to have this property added to the ConnectALL connections. So whichever connections you're creating for clarity, what is the value, the unit of measure that is being given in the clarity application needs to be given on the property, like on the connections property. If you ignore or by mistake we miss to give this, it will by default take the hour value. So ours is a value that for anywhere there is the number comes, and ConnectALL needs to understand whether it is days or hours. It's based on this property value. If we give this, it will take the value. If you don't give this, by default it ours as the value. So this is all of the TSV. And as said, this is more of unidirectional mapping. Currency and the unit will be separated for this. We are only supporting the unit for now. Next we have is the actual transaction. Actual transaction or posted transaction in clarity is the final processed transaction, which means once anything comes in as an actual transaction or a posted transaction, after that it cannot be changed. So these type of transactions, if we wanted to synchronize it to a different application or an end application, we'll be able to do that. Mostly the end application or the pattern that we see in this is like clarity to probably SAP cost plan, or clarity to Oracle Fusion for synchronizing the financial or the transaction data. That's where we are seeing this. But since we don't have an out of box SAP application or a Oracle application, we have opened this up, wherein we'll be building our SAP, either the universal adapter or the out of box adapter in near future. So we'll be able to do process this actual transactions into the end system, mostly for all the cost management, billing, and all those things. And we are only supporting unidirectional for actual transactions. Clarity itself will not allow you to write anything on the actual transaction. From the Clarity system, actual transactions can be synchronized to any other financial systems. In this example, we have given with Jira, since we don't have an inbuilt financial systems available. So let me quickly take you to the application. I have automations that's created with actual transactions. Let me open it up. So I have actual transaction. I may have a clarity to Jira, and I have, this is where we have opened up the actual transaction entity. And as I said, it is unidirectional. So you will only be able to create and update it on one side. There's no need of a poll to push it out in here. And I've given a couple of field mappings in here. In Clarity, another thing that I wanted to show is on the connections. Let me pull up my Clarity instance, my Clarity file. And this is where we have to give the property file, and you have to give the property value. Ensure we give the property value as it is with the case sensitive thing. That's how it will work. Now let me go into my Clarity, and I'll quickly show how this happens up in here. So in transactions, people who are used with Clarity, under transactions, you'll have something called the unposted and posted transactions. This posted transactions is what we will actually go and synchronize to a end application possibly. So to have something into posted transactions on Clarity, this is a Clarity behavior. So Clarity, I'll have to have unposted transactions, because these are is already been posted. So I'll not be able to repost it again. So I created a couple of unposted transactions in here. Let me go and push it to posted. Once it gets pushed to posted, when I run my automation, my posted transaction will start getting synchronized. To get them into posted on Clarity, we'll have to run the jobs. Let me run the job and move it into posted. This is all like clarities. The job is post to. So I'm going to post the work in progress when I do a submit. All my unposted has moved into posted. Now let me run my automation. It's getting created. So these are the tickets I just created into Jira. So we'll see how the behavior looks like. This will create me the onto the end application. So if you see here, the number values will get populated, and we'll be able to synchronize it with any of the other end applications. This is what we did for actual transactions. When we did for actual transactions, we realized, right, because actual transactions runs on jobs. Whenever there is large jobs that's happening, the number of record that ConnectALL have to process is too huge. We saw that there are a couple of our customers who use this jobs to run, and usually the posted transactions, like, at one point when the job runs, there are 50,000 to 60,000 posted transaction that happens. And when this type of situation comes, ConnectALL will not be able to handle that that traffic, that number of synchronization. So we have introduced batch processing. So far, what ConnectALL does is like ConnectALL polls all records that needs to be processed, right? So for any sync that happens, all the records will be read, will be polled, and then the processing starts using the pagination concept. But in here, we have introduced this batch processing, so we can define a size. So the default that we have given is like 5,000 records can be processed at a time. So what it does is like even there are 50,000 records, it starts processing 5,000 records in a bunch. So 5,000 process, and then it's pushed to the destination. Next 5,000 is processed. We have introduced this only on Clarity, for instance. So whenever the job runs periodically, when there are large enterprise customers, specifically when we are seeing, right, we wanted to ensure that the synchronization is not broken during this high volume transaction. And just not this case, right? Even when there is a, when you're a new customer, you wanted to do, you want to bring all your last 1 year data, or you wanted to push all the data into a destination system, or when you resync, there is a large number of transactions happen. That's when we introduce this batch processing. So batch processing, again, we have kept it in the property. So there is a global property which says like batch processing enabled. So this is more like a feature toggle. So we have it enabled, and we are giving a batch size. You can go and give a batch size in there. By default, we are giving 5,000 as a batch size. We are recommending also to use 5,000 so that we don't bombard a lot of traffic at that system. And when this batch processing is happen, your automations will be in lock state. It will process all the batches, and then it will unlock it specifically when there is large number of data. If you think that I don't need batch processing, this can be disabled at the property level. Also, we have given a batch processing enabled within the automation for Clarity. So by default, when you create a new automation with Clarity, batch processing will be selected by default. If you think that I don't need batch processing, I'm not doing actual transactions, it's a normal processing I need, you can go ahead and disable this. But again, there is not going to be any impact whether you are doing it via pagination or via batch processing. If your number of record that comes is less than 5,000, it will only process that number of records, and it will push it into it. So we actually, what we do is like whether it is polled or whether it's batch processing, we'll identify the first batch. If the first batch is lesser than 5,000, it will process that. If the first batch is 5,000 and it's going to have another batch, it will process the first batch, it will continue to process the second batch. If there is any failure, for example, if there is a failure that happens in the first batch, it will skip the failure, it will continue to do the processing, and then it'll only pick the failed records for processing. It will not reprocess everything again, only the failed record. This continues to happen just like our normal synchronization retries. That retry will continue to happen. As said, we have only introduced this for Clarity now. We wanted to put this for Jira also because we are seeing large volume of data. Probably we'll continue to add it to other applications once we move forward. That's all about the Clarity enhancement that we have done. So we have opened up TSV money field, we have introduced actual transaction metadata, and we have introduced batch processing.